this, but then it'll be like.
Exactly. Oh, no.
So how long have you been in Cleveland? Okay. So what part of the city you're living in? Okay, great.
My daughter in Lynn Heights, I live with.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, we live in Shakers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you get a relatively mild winter so far here.
So far, well, I'm from Michigan.
So you're not gonna be too bad.
Yes, it's very
Still
same-ish.
yeah, I bet it What does your daughter do?
She's running through library.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she came here working. And
Okay.
she's been here for 7.
Yeah. Did you move here purposely to be closer?
Yeah, and my other daughter was the same when I first moved too, and she's since moved to Chicago.
You're running away? It's like, oh, there's my mom's here. I gotta get out of here.
The plan was she was going to go. She was moving out of her city. I was moving in,
Okay.
but then she decided to stay another year,
Which is nice.
yeah.
How old are you? How old are you?
Shelby is, not the math, right?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. She's 31 and 29.
Okay, all right. So, well-established professional.
They are. Have you been here?
So we've been here 12 years.
Do the other thing. I want to make sure you've got everything in place.
Yes. All right.
Quite flattering there.
I know. I'm like, oh.
What's going on? Yeah, so I guess 12. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I moved up here from Mississippi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So that was a bigger change.
yeah, it was a bigger
from
change
Michigan.
climate-wise. Yeah, for sure, climate and culture-wise. For
Yeah,
sure. So,
right.
but yeah, so yeah, my wife works at Case, so we can
Okay.
move for her job. Good morning. My name is Andrew Watkins. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm a worship associate of this congregation, the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Cleveland. It's good to see you this morning. Welcome. We come from different places, different religions, different beliefs, and different backgrounds. Welcome. We come here for different reasons: to find community, to seek spiritual and personal truths, to question, to nurture heart and soul, to be nurtured, to explore new ideas, to find comfort, and perhaps to find the answers to some of our biggest questions. We hope you will find comfort, connection, challenge, and love here. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, whomever you love, know that you are welcome here. We especially welcome any guests who are worshiping with us for the first time today, either here with us physically or joining us in our cyber world. If you're interested in more information about who we are, we invite you to fill out one of the guest cards that you'll find in the pew rack in front of you and place it in the offering plate as it comes around later in the service. Or if you're joining us online, feel free to go to our website at uucleveland.org. On the back of your order of service is a QR code. It's helping us with contact tracing for COVID, and not today. Oh, not today. Then never mind. We're glad you're here. Hope you don't get. we hope we don't spread COVID to you. But sorry. All right. So we're about to enter into a sacred space. Please take a moment to silence your phones or any other devices you have that might buzz or beep or go off in the middle of this time. So today we have our new affiliate member, community minister, Reverend Christy Stewart, will be lighting the chalice for us. So if you look at the yellow cards in the pew rack, you'll see our chalice lighting words. And so please join me as we light our chalice today. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Today is our third week of Chalica. That it's that season of the year where we intentionally celebrate and reflect on the principles of our UU faith. The third principle promotes the acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. We celebrate not just the acceptance we strive to offer here in our congregation and our wider community, but also the encouragement toward growth that this congregation offers to one another.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Randy Partain. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm delighted to be with you in worship today, whether you're in person or joining us virtually. I want to share with you the words of Reverend Scott Tayler, who writes, "May the light, I'll say lights, we now kindle, and the time we now share, anchor us to that inner flame, that sacred center that helps us remember who we were before the world told us who it wanted us to be. May our time together clear the way for those memories and voices and friends that lead us back home." We're going to sing together hymn number 6 in the gray hymnal, "Just as Long as I Have Breath." But before we do that, I invite you to take a moment to say good morning to the folks around you, and especially greet those whose faces you may not recognize. Now you can hear me. We have a couple of special things to do today before we share our time of joys and concerns. And the first is we want to officially welcome Reverend Christy Stewart, our new affiliated community minister. We voted a couple of weeks ago as a congregation unanimously among those who were gathered to affiliate with Reverend Christy Stewart, who is a chaplain working in palliative care at University Hospital. And this is in addition to Reverend Rena Shear, who continues to be an affiliated community minister with our congregation. So we're going to have an opportunity to get to know Christy better in the months and years ahead. She's going to be leading worship in May, which I hope you all will be available for, and we'll just find ways that Christy's gifts and our needs can meet in a meaningful way. So wonderful to have you with us, Christy. We also have a few other new people to welcome, and so I invite you to look at the insert in your order of service. And do you want to call people forward? All right, wonderful.
So today we're going to welcome 13 new members to UUCC. So if you're a new member and your name is in the order of service, please come forward now. So those people are Pete Clapham, Susan Dubois, Sue Grohl, Marge Lepresti, Mary McCoy, Bob McGeaney, Bob McKim, Leon Mashad, Christina Sanborn, Larry Sanborn, Jean Simmons, Rachel Sternberg, and Trevor Van Hoy. We'll give them a second to get up here, as many as are here. It looks like almost everybody is here. All right, Randy, do you want to lead this side?
So we're on the side that says New Member Covenant. There's a part for you all. That's why I'm letting you know. But first, for our newest members, we welcome you, our newest members, into the UUCC community. We are so glad that you are here and have chosen this community of fellow seekers to travel with you on your life's journey. Will you accept our gifts of fellowship and service and engage with us as we seek to create a community and a world dedicated to love and justice? If so, respond, we will. That seemed pretty robust. I think that was good. Okay, congregation, will you welcome these newest members with the warmth and comfort of your fellowship and seek to add your strengths and talents to the new gifts they bring to us? If so, respond, we will. We will. Are you convinced? Yes. All right, good. Then let us commit ourselves to this community with the following words that bind us together in common purpose and common love in the midst of our beautiful diversity of belief. They're familiar words. We just said them just a minute ago. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
All right, I'm going to introduce these people, and while I do this, Allison is going to hand out a little gift from the church with lots of little fun things in it. So let me get my list. So I'm going to go alphabetically here. So first we have Pete Clapham, and while you've seen Pete around for a really long time, Pete just recently rejoined UUCC. He sings in the choir and is a worship associate. I think Susan Dubois is not here. You can look for her bio in the newsletter upcoming. Sue Grohl says that she's a needler and joins with a like-minded group of needlers the first Saturday of each month. And she says to ask her about the Project Linus. So, okay. Next is Marge Lepresti. And Marge has been attending UUCC since the fall. She was looking for a community who was welcoming to all people, not just a particular faith group. She is interested in social justice issues. Mary McCoy, she wrote a lot, so I'll read this in the newsletter, but she says that UUs are her people. She's been one for 40 years in California, and she also has an adult experience as a Peace Corps volunteer. She didn't write that, but I found that interesting. Anyway. Bob McGeaney. Raise your hand so they can find you. Okay. Like his partner Marge, Bob has been attending about 5 months. He says they're looking for a community that reflects their values and spirituality. They've attended some forums, and he's interested in being in a small group. Bob McKim little quick history here. Joined UUSC, the society, in 1968, and then dropped out about 2001, and he says, I seemingly got culled from the membership list. So he's finding his way back. And yes, if you don't show up for 20 years, you will have been culled from the membership list. I mean, if you keep sending us a pledge every year, we won't, but like at some point we think you left us, so. Leon Mashad, there he is, okay. Leon is also one of those people you've seen around for a long time. He's been coming about 6 years on this pass-through, and he just joined in the fall. He's singing in the choir, and he's a little bit of a poet, so you can ask him about that. And as we see, there are some of these people who have been around a long time. You know, sometimes people get here and then just forget to ever join. You can join at any time. Okay, Christina Sanborn has been coming about a year, and what she says most is that she's looking forward to meeting you. So you got to give her that opportunity. And Larry Sanborn, who I believe goes along with Christina, has also been attending on and off and indoor since the services started back up. He works from home and he's aspiring to be a woodworker. Jean Simmons is not here today. And then Rachel Sternberg has been attending about a year. She wanted to sing in the choir, and the choir brought her to the service and the congregation, and she likes it. And then Trevor Van Hoy has been attending close to a year. That's okay, I'm gonna make it up as I fly. Trevor is here with their partner Annie, and he has two sweet little boys, or little girls. Woo, I can get that right. Okay, did we get one for everybody who's here? Who didn't get a bag? Okay, we're good. Oh. Okay, and then Allison has something to read.
This is a poem by Gila Jones. What is the church? What is this church? What is this church? It is not the building, except to the extent that we have chosen it as our gathering place. It is not the minister, except to the extent that we have called them to inspire and guide our spiritual life. It is not the music, except to the extent that we make it when we blend our voices together to produce sounds lovelier than any one of us could make alone. It is not even the beliefs, for we Unitarian Universalists have no single unifying belief, only the combined beliefs of each one of us. This church is the people. Without our committed members, this church would not exist. We are this church. Without us, it is nothing more than a dream, but with it, it can be anything we wish it to be.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are so thrilled to have you as official members of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Cleveland.
So please take the opportunity to introduce yourself to a new member in coffee hour.
We also want to celebrate all of the other things that are going on in our community and acknowledge that there might be concerns that we bring with us today. If you're joining us online, I invite you to put any joys or concerns you want to share with the congregation in the comments below. And if you're here in person, we invite folks to put stones in the water to represent anything that you want to acknowledge you're carrying with you today. We do have a stone of gratitude for the lay pastoral care team and the Helping Hands ministry who reach out to congregants to provide care and support. They've been pretty active over the last couple of months, and I know a lot of people appreciate that work. So gratitude for the lay pastoral care team and Helping Hands. That's the only thing in the book today, but I'll just remind you that the book is here on Sunday mornings. If there's something that you want spoken aloud during this time to share with the congregation, you can also spend time just letting people know during coffee hour after the service and have those one-on-one conversations. But if there's anything you'd like to acknowledge today that you've brought with you, I invite you to come forward and place a stone in the water at this time. place a stone for those joys or concerns that may have been shared online today. And a stone for anything that we carry with us that might not yet have a way to be expressed. And I'll just remind us, as I do on occasion, that these are ours now, all of these individual joys and concerns that we carry with us. And it may not be that we want to share them publicly with the whole congregation, but maybe in those groups of trusted friends that we know see us most deeply and most clearly, we'll be willing to share what these stones represent sometime today or later this week as we connect in community with one another.
Well, good morning. What a full, wonderful day. New members. There's a Funhouse mirror, beautiful choir songs. Very full day. Lots of good things happening. And we're about to hear Andrew Watkins is going to share a message from, or a quote from Rachel Naomi Remen coming up. And it got me thinking about the difference between listening and hearing, especially because I got caught the other day doing one of these things I'm sure you have done in your life. Please share the shame of this with me. When you're doing one of these and somebody maybe very important is talking to you, maybe like your loving partner who you are building a beautiful life with, and you're doing one of these and they're talking to you and you're doing, yeah, yeah, absolutely, sure. Oh, yeah, that's right. And then you realize halfway through somehow some of the information has come to you, but the whole anything about that was completely lost. I had heard things, but I was not listening. I hadn't been listening. Listening is not hearing, because listening isn't a function of our ears or our perceptions. Listening is an act of the whole person, and it draws on all of our efforts and everything we have to be attentive and present. It's an active and engaged posture. It's intentional. Listening is not hearing because it's also not a passive process, right? It isn't primarily a way to acquire information. Listening is a way that we lean into one another. We lean into each other's lives and their experiences. It's like the verbal action for the concept of empathy. It's how we be and do empathy. And most importantly, listening is not hearing, because listening takes place within you, but it isn't about you. Listening is a way of giving ourselves over to others. It's a way of finding our center and discovering that it might also be within someone else, while also inviting them to find their center in you. It's like a waltz of being that allows us to circle into one another in this really thoughtful and intentional way, to break down those walls of separation between us. So as we hear Rachel Naomi Remen's reflection on this, I think it's important for us to remember in this place, with all of these wonderful, exciting things going on, that listening is this powerful and sacred act. And in this season where we are observing our values and taking mind for all of the ways that those inform our lives together, perhaps the very best thing we can do is be sure to listen.
And in that vein, I offer you the words of Rachel Naomi Remen from My Grandfather's Blessings. It is often through the quality of our listening and not the wisdom of our words that we are able to effect the most profound changes in the people around us. When we listen, we offer our attention an opportunity for wholeness. Our listening creates sanctuary for the homeless parts within the other person. that which has been denied, unloved, devalued by themselves and others, that which is hidden. In this culture, the soul and the heart too often go homeless. When you listen generously to people, they can hear the truth in themselves, often for the first time. And in the silence of listening, you can know yourself in everyone. Eventually, you may be able to hear in everyone and beyond everyone the unseen singing softly to itself and to you. As is often the case, we offer our offering plate to those who are living our values in the community. Our offering recipient today is the Hunger Network. In July of last year, the Hunger Network opened the Midtown Market, a grocery-style food pantry serving the East Side to address the needs of the community. Needs like those of Kimberly and Kibbert Fleshman, who began volunteering at the market in September after stumbling upon the organization one early morning in need of a warm meal. Since the pandemic, the couple has faced a number of challenges, including finding stable housing. And as Kimberly said of her experience at the market, at the end of the month, when families are really struggling, a market like this situation is so valuable. There's no shame, and the volunteers help you through every experience. With the rising costs in utilities and rent and other household expenses, the Fleshmans have been left with no money to purchase groceries. The market has been an access point for them to find free food and products that fit within their lifestyle. The Hunger Network didn't turn us away when we needed it, said Kimberly. For over 40 years, the Hunger Network has worked in the greater Cleveland area to address the food insecurity needs of people like the Fleshmans and countless others. Their efforts at addressing these needs are wide-ranging across our community. We have been fortunate to welcome Julie Johnson, the CEO of the Hunger Network, into our forums and worship service today, and I have no doubt that she will be appreciative of any support you can provide for the Hunger Network. I ask today that you support this work by giving as you are able, either through placing your offering in the plate as it passes around this morning, or through Cash App with the cash tag of $UUCC 44122. Be sure to put plate in the for line of the app.
I'm
Thank you, choir. I invite you to read along on the yellow pew card with the acceptance of gifts. We offer these gifts with gratitude, and we acknowledge the constant gifts of time, talent, and treasure that strengthen and nourish this congregation as a reflection of our commitment to community within and without, our purposeful spirituality that is ever searching and growing, and our intentional actions that lead to greater justice in our congregation, our city, our nation, and our world. Now, as people were coming in today, if you came in by the narthex, you may have taken a moment to make sure everything was in place and that you looked just perfect for being in the sanctuary today. Did you need to adjust anything? Is that a good perspective of you? I'll bring it down just to see. Did you get a good glimpse of this is the true you that you get to see here? You saw already, right? You got a good glimpse? Okay. If anybody needs to fix a hair or anything, then we'll just make sure. There you go, Ray. Does that reflect the true you just as best as possible? You saw this, right? You got a good look. Okay, very good. And Jordan, did you get a good look at this? Did you see how wonderful you look today? This is the true you, best reflection of you ever, right? It's a little bit distorted, right? It's a little bit funny. I don't know if everyone... Oh, the other way? This way? That better? Oh, you stole my thunder, man. Okay. This is a more accurate reflection, right? This is a little better. This side, maybe. But we laugh about the Funhouse mirror. I don't know if everyone in here has even ever been to a Funhouse, but there used to be these things called carnivals. And you would go to the carnival, and they would have something that's like a glorified trailer, and it would have a generator. It was really loud, but you wouldn't notice that because you'd be going in, and it would have like distorted mirrors, and you go in, and you make all kinds of faces, and you get to see how funny you look with this distorted mirror. And we laugh about it because it's funny, but we do it all the time in ways that are not quite so funny. Because we rely on other people to see ourselves more clearly. We rely on one another to reflect back to us. If that gets too distracting, you just let me know. Say, move that on. Sometimes we know whose feedback to trust. Sometimes we trust that people are giving us a reliable reflection of who we are. There are those people in our lives. But some people reflect who they want us to be rather than who we are. And society does this a lot. We have a lot of reflections coming back to us from society, and usually that reflection is, you are not enough just as you are. You need to be more beautiful, you need to have more toys, you need to have more money, you need to have a bigger house, or at least a better house, and you need to have a newer car, and you are not enough just as you are. And society reflects back to us what we need to do to get better than what we are right now. That happens a lot. That's not connected to our life-affirming values. That's not connected to our deepest principles. That's connected to something else. It's intended to shape us into what somebody else wants us to be. It's a funhouse mirror. All the time, every day. And we can laugh about it here, but maybe we're not so great at laughing about it when we get those messages coming at us in other places. And some people want what they think is best for us. It's not a malicious thing. They think they know what is best for us, and they reflect that back to us. And they label us in a way that makes sense to them. Have you ever been labeled in a way that you didn't think was particularly accurate, but somebody else was bound and determined to let you know that that's who you are? I mean, one word labels can say a lot about what people think of us. Does anybody want to share an inaccurate, just one-word label that somebody has reflected back to you? 2 words. Messianic compulsive. Say that one more time.
I was called a messianic compulsive.
A messianic compulsive. I don't even know what those 2 words mean. But it sounds like an insult. It sounds like a funhouse mirror. Sometimes we use words like fat to describe people. Sometimes we say people are ugly. I mean, maybe not very often. Sometimes we call people evil. Our first principle is that we honor the inherent worth and dignity of every person, every single person. And yet, we look out at the world and we see one aspect of what somebody is showing us, and we say, there's the exception to our principle. That person is, at the heart, at the core of their being, evil. I don't have to care about them. Let's see who else I don't have to care about. We sometimes are funhouse mirror reflections. But we don't have to be. See, we use these labels, or other people use these labels about us because we think we know what's best, and we want to fix people. We want people to be better. We reflect back like a distorted funhouse mirror, or people reflect to us like a distorted funhouse mirror, and then try to change us into what would be better than that. But that's not about you when somebody reflects back like a funhouse mirror. That's about them. That's about their priorities. That's about what they want. It's not a reliable reflection. So we've been talking this month about knowing our center. And the real value of knowing our center is that we know which reflections to trust. If we know our center, if we can clearly, simply define our life-affirming values and say, this is what matters to me, this is how I want to show up in my life, this is what I choose to orbit, then when we get those reflections from people, we can assess them a little more confidently. When somebody shows us a distorted image, we can say, yeah, that's not really what's at my center, so I'm not going to worry about that particular reflection. And sometimes when we let people know what is at our center, they can be a more reliable reflection. If I tell you that what I really care about is that I'm going to create justice and equity and compassion in my human relationships, that's our second principle. Justice and equity and compassion matter to me. Those are values that I want to orbit. Then when you reflect back to me, you can say, well, Randy, you said that compassion was important to you, and then I'm seeing this other thing. What is that about? And you can hold me accountable to the things that I say are at my center. We don't like that word accountability very much. It's a scary word because people misuse it. Sometimes we want to hold people accountable for things that they didn't say they want to be held accountable for. We say, well, you shouldn't be eating that because don't you know where that comes from? And they say, oh my goodness, I didn't even realize that I had made a commitment to change my diet. We hold people accountable to things that they have not chosen to be at their center. And people try to hold us accountable for things that we have not chosen to be at our center. That's just as bad as a funhouse mirror reflection. Accountability is when I say, this is what matters to me, and you say, I honor that. I'm going to provide reliable feedback about what I see based on what you say matters to you. And it may not be the same things that matter to all of us. We can look at one another and say, oh, I know what matters to this person. I know what matters to that person. My reflection to these people that I care about might be different if I want to give them a reliable reflection. We hold people accountable to the things that they claim for their center as their life-affirming values, if we want to be reliable reflections. We like to call other things accountability because it sounds good and it sounds righteous and it sounds like we can boss people around with that word. But if we don't understand what accountability really is, it can feel really icky to be held accountable to something that we didn't agree to. And we all have some obscured spots in our behavior. Even if we care very deeply about justice and equity and compassion, even if we care very deeply about accepting one another and encouraging one another to spiritual growth, the way we just lit a Chalica candle for this morning, there are going to be times when we fall short. In other spiritual communities, we might call that sin. That word doesn't have a lot of traction in UU communities, but all it means is that we've fallen short of what we've said we want to be about. We say we want justice and equity and compassion, and then we do something different. We say we want to build beloved community, and then we don't treat one another like beloved community. We could reliably call that sin. It's not the end of the world. It's an obscured spot in our behavior that we haven't noticed, and we might need one another to say, hey, does this really create what we say we wanted to create? Or are we falling short somehow? Does this really respond to someone the way that you want to? Is this really how you want to show up? Because if it is, that's fine, but I want to hold up this mirror and say, you said this was how you were going to show up, and this is what I'm seeing, and the two don't seem to match. We can help one another see our obscured spots with compassion and love, not with shame or condemnation, but just to say, oh, this is the commitment that we all made, and this is what I'm seeing. What can we do to bring those two closer together? We can be trustworthy friends when we act as reliable reflections. You can help me notice the things that I won't be able to notice on my own, those obscured spots. So I invite you to consider how you show up in your relationships, not just in this community, but maybe with your family, maybe in your workplace, maybe with your friendship groups. Are you a reliable reflection to the people in your life? Or are you a funhouse mirror? Do you try to hold people accountable to things that they didn't ask to be held accountable to? Or do you listen? Do you have that embodied empathy where you can understand deeply what someone else holds at their center? Because we have the opportunity to be either one. This is not a, locked in at birth kind of thing. You can choose to be a funhouse mirror or a reliable reflection. A reliable reflection means that I listen to what you want to orbit, I pay attention to what matters to you, I respect your life-affirming values, and I offer feedback. I love who you say you want to be. That's what it is to be a reliable mirror. I choose to love who you say you want to be. And even that is going to get filtered because we all see things through filters. We all experience the world in a different way. So it's helpful to have a bunch of reliable reflections instead of just one. So that when you hear something from one person, you can say, I'm not sure that that's a reliable reflection of me. Then you might dismiss it a little bit if it seems off. But if you have 4 reliable reflections mirroring something back to you, you might take a look and say, here's a growth edge that I might explore in my life. So, what if a piece of being beloved community is that we commit to that for one another in this space? That part of our commitment to being meaningful, authentic community is that we choose to be reliable reflections and that we are conscious of the times when we're showing up like funhouse mirrors in this space. This can be a great little laboratory for us to practice what it looks like to be reliable reflections. Here where it's safe enough to be brave in how we reflect to one another. And then we can practice a little more with other people who are close to us, with our family, in our workplace, with our friend groups. So, one more time, funhouse mirror is what you think is best for someone else. We can laugh about funhouse mirrors. They're kind of funny. It's a distorted image, and we say, that's not me. That's not what I look like. You're so funny trying to tell me who I ought to be. That's hilarious. We don't have to get upset about it. We don't have to get defensive. We don't have to get angry. We can just say, oh, I remember this. This is so funny. But a reliable reflection is when we listen deeply, we look to see who someone is at their core, at their center. We let people be who they are, and we respond with love. I think that's something we can do. May we be courageous enough to give it a try. I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we sing together from the Teal hymnal, number 1053, How Could Anyone? All right, you better sit down for this because we've got a lot going on this week. Pay attention here, but also check in with your weekly newsletter because I think most of this stuff is going to be in there. So today, we do have after the service, we'll have coffee hour downstairs. We do have our adult RE conversation that will be in the library now. It's not going to be out in the fellowship hall because there'll be some other activities going on in there. But we'll be in the library today if you want to have a chat that goes a little more deeply, personally about the subject matter of our service today. There are going to be some members of the lay pastoral care team in the fellowship hall today if you want to update them on anything or just to see their faces and be able to say, oh, now I know who's on the lay pastoral care team. And there's also going to be a pop-up library table in fellowship hall where you can sign out some wonderful books on justice, anti-racism, community building, and if you prefer videos, we'll have a fantastic list there that you can just view from home at your leisure. And I understand there might be chocolate. So if you want chocolate, sorry, virtual people, go get some chocolate and let us know how tasty it was. Some of our fabulous Good Trouble folks still have not received your thank you gift. So if this is you, if you are part of the Good Trouble efforts and you have not gotten your thank you gift yet, please stop by the aforementioned pop-up library table and pick that up today. This coming Thursday, we are going to have a widening the welcome opportunity for our ushers and our greeters in the fellowship hall in person. And if you are somebody who just wants to be a part of how we offer radical hospitality to everybody who comes across our threshold, you can also participate in that. It's really geared toward people who are going to be welcoming folks into this space, so greeters and ushers especially. What time does that start? 7, I think. 7 o'clock. What's that? We are all greeters. Thank you, Carol. We are all greeters. You are a greeter. Congratulations. We'll update your name tag momentarily. On Friday, here, there is going to be a workshop from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., Sending the Right Signal, which is facilitated by Soul Focused Group. It's a one-day workshop designed to develop tools to build solidarity within ourselves and human solidarity with others. It inspires us to make a more equitable world and affirms everyone's humanity, including and especially your own. This is underwritten by the Human Solidarity Project, and if you are not able to attend that workshop here on Friday, West Shore UU is offering it on Saturday. So one of those days you have an opportunity to do that. There is a suggested donation. I don't remember what it is. Don't let that stop you. We will supplement whatever we need to make this work. And then on Saturday here from 5 to 8, we have potluck and games and conversation. Bring some food, bring a game. Don't bring a game like Risk that takes 6 hours to play, or a weekend, depending on who you play with. 3-hour game at, tops. 5 to 8 p.m. in the fellowship hall. Time to be social and have fun with one another. There's probably a lot more going on than that, but that's the summary. Check your newsletter on Thursday. So now some words, not quoting Parker Palmer, but inspired by Parker Palmer. May we co-create a space here where every person can hear, discover, and listen to their own voice. And may we offer the kind of presence and attention that invites one another's souls to show up. May we practice a compassionate accountability that allows us to be the people we most deeply want to be in our relationships with one another. Amen, and blessed be.
As we extinguish our chalice, please join me in reading the words on the yellow pew card, or the yellow card in the pew racks. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Have you ever felt like nobody was there? Have you ever felt forgotten in the middle of nowhere? Have you ever felt like you could disappear? Like you could fall and no one would hear?
So let that lonely feeling wash away, 'cause maybe there's a reason to believe you'll be okay. 'Cause when you don't feel strong enough to stand, you can reach out your hand. Someone will come running. They'll take you home. Even when the dark comes crashing through, when you need a friend to carry you, and when you're broken on the ground, you will be found. So when the sun comes streaming in, 'cause you'll reach up and you'll rise again. Lift your head and look around. dark comes crashing through, when you need someone to carry you, when you're broken on the ground.